A security guard at a feed manufacturing plant, distracted by a soccer game on his phone, accidentally puts foil-wrapped food in a microwave, sparking a fire. Ignoring the flames, he tosses the foil into a trash can, which quickly catches fire, spreading to the carpet. Panicked, he calls 911. The 126 fire crew arrives, safely evacuating him. Then, they hear screams from a nearby tower. The firefighters spray high-pressure water, but their truck's tank runs low. Judd, a firefighter, recalls a hydrant 91 meters away. With permission, he hauls the hose to the hydrant, and his team cheers as water flows again. But the control center calls Judd, warning that the plant contains chemical fertilizers and ammonium nitrate. He races back, shouting and signaling his team to retreat, but it's too late. A massive explosion engulfs the firefighters in flames. Owen, a fire captain in New York, faces a personal crisis when persistent coughing leads to a lung cancer diagnosis. Fortunately, it's early stage and hasn't spread, but Owen is shocked since he was healthy a year ago. His doctor explains that exposure to toxins while rescuing people at the World Trade Center likely caused it. The doctor urges Owen to see this as a chance to reflect, though facing illness is never easy. Meanwhile, Owen's son, TK, plans to propose to his boyfriend but discovers he's been cheated on. The next day, Owen arrives at the fire station to find the Texas Fire Department's deputy chief and Justice Department officials offering him a job to rebuild Austin's 126 crew after the tragedy. Owen declines, unwilling to leave New York. Concerned when TK doesn't show up for work, Owen rushes to his son's apartment, banging on the door with no response. Sensing trouble, he calls his team for backup. Breaking in, Owen finds TK unconscious from a drug overdose. He administers CPR and naloxone, saving his son's life. The incident puts TK at risk of being fired. To protect him, Owen sends TK to rehab and accepts the Texas job offer. In Austin, Owen and TK arrive at the 126 station, where wilted flowers and photos of fallen firefighters linger outside. TK fears they'll be ostracized by a grieving crew, but Owen believes an outsider like him can absorb their anger and help them move forward. He begins revamping the station and plans to recruit new firefighters. The first interviewee is Marion, a Miami firefighter whose viral video of saving a drowning person has over 9 million likes. However, she's been disciplined 11 times in a year for defying orders. The second is Mateo, the deputy chief's driver, who's failed the firefighter exam 4 times but shines in real-world scenarios and has a strong work ethic. The third is Paul, a transgender firefighter from Chicago with exceptional observation skills and a knack for predicting danger. Owen's sharp instincts, sincerity, and competitive pay win them over. The final interviewee is Judd, a surviving member of the old 126 crew. After spending 6 weeks in the hospital post-explosion, he's battling severe PTSD. When Owen mentions his trauma, Judd snaps, feeling attacked, and storms out. Meanwhile, Michelle, an EMS worker, is searching for her sister, missing for 3 years. Suspecting her sister's boyfriend is involved, she frequently confronts him. One day, she notices a boy struggling to breathe and tells his father he needs a ventilator. Learning the family is poor, she leaves her number, offering help as a volunteer. Moments later, police arrest her for harassing the boyfriend. Carlos, a police officer and Michelle's friend, urges her to let go of her sister's death, but Michelle refuses. Marcos hears that ghost peppers are a natural aphrodisiac. To get revenge on his cousin, who keeps swapping his shaving cream with shampoo, causing his baldness, Marcos buys bujalakia, the world's hottest pepper. He slips it into a taco for his cousin, but his cousin, anticipating the prank, swaps the tacos. Marcos ends up eating the pepper, choking despite chugging beer and water. His cousin tries the Heimlich maneuver, but it fails, so they call 911. The 126 fire crew arrives, and Michelle's EMS team takes over. Marco's throat is bleeding from the food's damage. Michelle makes a small incision in his chest, using a tool to drain fluid from his lungs. Marcos wakes up instantly, learning a bitter lesson. Grace, Judd's wife and a 911 dispatcher, hears about his failed interview to rejoin the 126. She gently encourages him to be as determined as when he pursued her, saying giving up isn't his style. That night, the 911 center gets a distress call from a woman whose car flipped in a storm. The 126 crew arrives to find her unconscious. Paul notices gasoline pooling on the ground, suspecting a fuel tank leak. Owen orders everyone back, tells Carlos to cut the battery cables, TK to grab a CO2 extinguisher, and uses hydraulic cutters to open the car door. Marion crawls inside and finds the woman, pregnant and trapped under the steering wheel. As the team frees her and hands her to medics, she wakes up, gasping, "I have another child." Marion finds parts of a child's car seat but no seat. The team suspects the child was thrown out during the crash. Owen sends them searching. Paul analyzes the accident, and they hear a child's cry. Looking up, they spot the baby, still in the car seat, stuck in a tree over 30 feet high. Owen climbs a ladder, trying to bring the seat down, but it won't budge. As he reaches for the baby, the seat falls, making the mother scream and everyone freeze. Thankfully, Owen has the baby in his arms, and the crying confirms the child is safe. The crowd cheers, relieved. Owen hands the baby to the mother, earning praise from Carlos. TK beams, saying, "That's my dad." After their shift, the 126 crew celebrates at a bar. Owen considers telling TK about his cancer but holds back. Judd and Grace arrive at the bar. Judd wants to leave when he sees Owen, but Grace stops him. When Owen steps outside, vomiting from his illness, Grace approaches, begging him to help Judd heal. Moved, Owen agrees to let Judd visit the station tomorrow. The next day, Judd arrives and sees photos of his fallen teammates in the trash. Furious, he accuses Owen of disrespecting their memory. Owen explains he's not discarding them but helping the living move forward. Judd lashes out and storms off. Owen hesitates, then calls him back, revealing his cancer diagnosis, known only to his doctor, himself, and now Judd. He says he'll face his illness one day, just as Judd faces his losses. Feeling guilty, Judd admits he appreciates Owen's help but isn't ready. As he turns to leave, he sees a memorial wall with photos of his fallen teammates. Overwhelmed, he sobs, hiding his face with his hat, crying like a child in front of everyone. Owen clears the room and tells Judd, "I put their photos here so we'll always remember them, their sacrifice. PTSD isn't a disorder, it's an injury. Trust me, fear comes with everything we do." From then on, Judd rejoins the 126, becoming part of their family. Owen is settling into Texas life, feeling more at ease. He finds a reliable dermatologist who uses the same haircare methods as his New York doctor. Every Friday, Owen gets a finasteride injection to promote hair growth, applies it to his scalp twice daily, and takes a pill at night. To Owen, appearance matters, and his hair defines him, but TK thinks he's overly paranoid about going bald. At a company, employees order food for a meeting. The manager, Liza, eats 2 bites of a pastry, then starts sweating profusely, scratching her arm until it bleeds, and frantically smashes her head against a glass door. Colleagues try to stop her, but Liza jumps out a window. Panicked, they call 911. When the 126 fire crew arrives, Ems reports Liza is dead. Police investigating the office find chaos, employees stabbing themselves with forks, some trying to jump. Carlos calls for backup. Despite efforts, 3 people jump during the mayhem. When backup arrives, Carlos briefs Owen. Ems finds victims with erratic heart rates, clenched jaws, and muscle spasms. Owen orders no one be moved until the situation is clear. A woman suddenly goes berserk, clawing her skin. Michelle notices she's sensitive to light, convulsing, and overly agitated, suspecting mercury poisoning, known as Mad Hatter's disease from 19th century hatmakers exposed to mercury. Paul quietly inspects leftover food, questions unaffected employees, and finds mercury in a pastry. That night, the fire crew orders from the same restaurant. When the delivery guy arrives, he's arrested, and more mercury is found in the food. Confronted, he admits, "For years, that company treated me like I was invisible, never tipping. Now they'll remember me." Owen's doctors use immunotherapy and chemo to control his cancer, but they urge him to stop hair growth medication for better results. The thought of going bald terrifies him. Meanwhile, Grace and Judd see a therapist, who explains that avoiding traumatic memories traps the brain in grief. Using the Zeigarnik effect, the therapist encourages Judd to recall that fateful night while breathing deeply. With Grace's support, he tries but can't continue. Michelle gets a call to help the asthmatic boy. She props him up, uses an inhaler, and sets up an IV, stabilizing him. Before leaving, she gives him an inhaler and allergy meds, telling his dad to call if they run out. Touched, the dad escorts her out, mentioning that 3 years ago, after arguing with her boyfriend, Michelle's sister left in a green pickup truck. The next morning, Michelle shares this with Carlos, but he notes that Texas has countless pickups, making the lead too vague. He suggests a psychic. Surprisingly, Michelle visits one, who lights a match and asks her to light candles and share her feelings about her sister, Alice. Looking at their photo, Michelle says Alice was always better than her. She urged Alice to end a toxic relationship. Their last conversation, anger drives her to find her sister. When the anger candle goes out, Michelle trusts the psychic more. Owen asks Judd about therapy. Judd says he went but shifts to Owen's health. Owen admits treatment is only part of it. He's most worried about his hair and hasn't told TK, who's already dealing with enough. Judd says Owen's just not ready to open up. Grace, a 911 dispatcher, gets a call from Ellen, who claims someone's arsonizing her neighborhood. The fire crew arrives to find Ellen calmly shaking hands, leading them to a smoking lot. Judd realizes it's just a barbecue pit. The pit's owner says Ellen seems sweet but is malicious, once calling police on his daughter's birthday party. Owen prepares to arrest Ellen for a false report. She claims a heart condition but refuses Marion, a Muslim, measuring her blood pressure, or TK, who's gay, or Paul, who's transgender. She surrenders instead. After a few dates, TK and Carlos grow close, but TK always rushes off after intimate moments. One morning, Owen wakes from a nightmare where he goes bald overnight. At the station, his team and Michelle tease him. In the dream, a victim refuses his help because he's bald. Relieved it's just a dream, Owen checks his hair but can't sleep. Michelle, also sleepless over her sister, confides in Owen, asking him to keep it secret. The 911 center gets a call about a foul smell in an apartment building, possibly a gas leak. The 126 crew finds methane levels over 10%. One spark could blow the place sky high. They evacuate residents. Marion encounters a stubborn man who won't leave. With time running out, she kicks in his door to drag him out. Panicked, he asks if she's sent by the Overlord to stop the resistance, pointing a gun at her. Marion tells Owen, who poses as a resistance member, convincing the man to wear protective gear and leave. On the way, the man wants to grab his Overlord surveillance device. TK cleverly says the radio is the device, tricking him. They barely escape before the building explodes, proving firefighting is a deadly trade. On a day off, Judd drives Owen to the suburbs for horseback riding. Crossing a creek, Judd urges Owen to focus on what matters most. Hair is nothing, and says he looks great in a cowboy hat. Carlos prepares a candlelit dinner for TK, who's nervous, still healing from a failed relationship and unready for love. Carlos, flustered, says he's not proposing, accidentally hitting TK's sore spot. As TK leaves, Carlos feels deflated. That night, Judd, with Grace's encouragement, tries therapy again. Breathing steadily, he recalls that night for 5 seconds, feeling lighter. The couple embraces joyfully. Meanwhile, Michelle follows the psychic's method, adding herbs to a bath and burning a $100 bill before her sister's photo. Finally, Owen tosses his hair growth meds in the trash, puts on a cowboy hat, and faces the mirror with new resolve. The 911 call center gets a frantic call from a guy. My friend's stuck in a grain silo and sinking fast. The 126 rescue team races to the scene. TK thinks falling into a grain silo sounds absurd, but Judd explains these massive silos are dangerous. Farmers climb in to push grain out faster, and people die every year. If the grain hasn't reached the victim's chest, they have about 10 minutes max, depending on static pressure. Pulling someone out too fast could be deadly. TK doubts Judd's exaggerating, but Captain Owen knows the stakes. Worried about his lack of experience, Owen puts Judd in charge. The silo's 15 meters tall, so Owen sends trained climbers to the top to assist Judd's rescue plan. By now, the grain's up to the victim's chest. Judd orders the team to place boards before stepping into the silo to avoid triggering static pressure. Owen preps a power saw to cut the silo if needed. Judd goes in first, securing a rope to the victim and keeping him calm. He sets up shields around the victim while TK uses a tube to suck out grain. Things look promising, and the team starts to smile. But then Marion's safety rope snaps, and she sinks into the grain. Judd tells her to stay still, but she keeps sinking. He orders a retreat and forbids TK from pulling her, but TK ignores him, tries to help, and gets his head stuck in the grain. Judd urgently calls Owen to cut the silo. He tells the victim to take a deep breath and release the rope to flow out with the grain. The victim escapes, followed by TK. Then Marion's headscarf comes off, exposing her hair. Owen quickly covers her with a jacket, but someone films the moment, leaving Marion anxious. Back at the fire station, Judd chews out TK for disobeying orders, accusing him of acting reckless because his dad's the captain. That sets TK off, and they get into a fight until Paul breaks it up. Frustrated, TK heads to a bar to blow off steam but gets into trouble and lands in jail. Luckily, Carlos releases him since he's sober. Annoyed by TK's attitude, Carlos still cleans blood off his face. TK apologizes, admitting he relapsed into drinking after a bad breakup and hit the bar to cope. At a restaurant, a publicity stunt challenges people to eat a 5-pound steak in 10 minutes for free lifetime steaks and a spot on the Wall of Fame. A man and a woman compete. The woman chows down, chugging water to swallow faster, taunting her opponent. The crowd goes wild as she polishes off half the steak, while the guy quits. But right after her victory, she collapses. Michelle's paramedic team rushes to the restaurant. At first, they think the woman's pregnant due to her swollen belly, but spotting an empty water glass and her distended bladder, Michelle diagnoses hyponatremia, low blood sodium. Her colleague warns against inserting a catheter due to the risks, but Michelle's determined to save her. As she inserts the catheter, urine sprays everywhere, soaking the restaurant owner and splashing the Wall of Fame photo. The woman feels instant relief, but Michelle warns everyone to steer clear of these dangerous eating challenges. A man driving down the road is startled when someone crashes onto his car from above. He frantically calls 911. When the rescue team arrives, Carlos briefs Owen. The victim, Terry, 26, jumped from a 7th-floor balcony. The driver's shaken but unharmed. Amazingly, Terry's still alive. The team fits her with a neck and leg brace for transport. Terry mumbles about her phone, so the team checks her apartment for clues. They discover she wasn't trying to die. She was filming a yoga stunt on the balcony for social media fame and slipped. Owen speechless. That night, Carlos hands Michelle a list of blue pickup trucks, but it's so long it feels like finding a needle in a haystack. He suggests she swallow her pride and talk to Dustin, her sister's boyfriend, for clues. The next day, Michelle reluctantly visits Dustin, but he's fed up with her pestering him for 3 years and calls the cops on her. At the hospital, Owen meets a chatty patient who urges him to share his cancer diagnosis with loved ones for support. Instead of pretending to be tough, the patient warns that fighting cancer alone makes it harder. Judd notices Owen struggling with weights, a sign his chemo's taking a toll. He steps in to help. After work, Owen takes the team to a bar. Grace catches TK staring at Judd and learns about their fight. She tells Judd to apologize for his harsh words. Paul notices Marion's upset. The video of Marion's exposed hair goes viral, and her Muslim community criticizes her high-profile job, telling her to stay away from the mosque. After learning about the video, encourages her to wear her headscarf proudly and ignore the haters. Drunk, Owen visits Dustin to push him to help Michelle but ends up vomiting outside his house. Annoyed, Dustin shoos him away. Owen snaps, pinning Dustin against a wall and demanding he talk to Michelle. Owen confesses to Michelle about his drunken mess with Dustin, and she's furious. Just then, Dustin shows up at the fire station, unloading his frustration. He says everyone thinks Michelle's sister, Alice, was perfect, but they didn't know her. Dustin explains Alice changed suddenly, hanging out with alcoholics and spiraling mentally, but he doesn't know why. He told the police everything he knew, but it wasn't much. He wanted to tell Michelle, but she kept accusing him of killing Alice. Dustin admits he failed to protect her, regretting letting her leave that night. Michelle, realizing they both lost Alice, comforts him, and they reconcile with a hug. The next day, Judd apologizes to TK, admitting he lost control in the silo because it triggered bad memories. He assures TK there's no bad blood, just fear for his and Marion's safety. TK thanks Judd for the honesty, saying no one's ever called him out like that before. He asks Judd to stop calling him the captain's kid if they're truly friends. They laugh, patching things up. Tim's watching a movie with his 2 kids when a tornado warning blares. He rushes them to the bathroom for safety. His daughter realizes their cat's still outside and begs him to save it. Tim tells the kids to stay put, then searches for the cat, which is hiding under a couch, refusing to budge. Suddenly, the tornado hits, shattering windows and ripping off the roof. The kids scream in terror. 12 hours earlier, Owen's at the hospital with the talkative patient, who asks if chemo's messing with his emotions and if he's told friends about his cancer. The guy suggests Owen's probably cursing God for being unfair. Owen casually says he asked himself that question when the World Trade Center collapsed. The patient, learning Owen was a 9/11 responder, calls him a hero. Owen replies the real heroes died that day. The guy bluntly says, "Well, looks like you're not far behind." At dinner, Owen skips eating, claiming he had a burger. TK presses him on where, but Judd, knowing Owen's lying, covers for him. Outside, a storm brews with thunder and lightning. An elderly woman, fresh from dropping off a couple, hears a tornado warning while driving home. She spots the twister ahead and swerves to turn back, but a billboard crashes down, blocking her path. In a flash, the tornado lifts her car into the air. She calls 911, panicking. "I was on Brazos Street, but I'm not there anymore." The 126 team navigates the ravaged area, searching for her. Owen spots a road sign, then sees her car wedged between two buildings. It's a dire situation. The car could fall any second, and the alley's too narrow for the fire truck. Owen's plan: send the team to the building's roof, rappel down with safety ropes, and call for a crane to support the car. Marion, Paul, and Carlos gear up and climb the roof while Judd sets up an airbag. The crane's stuck in traffic, so Owen decides to act without it. Marion, agile and quick, edges along the wall to the car. The woman's alert but can't move much, or the car will plummet. Owen orders an immediate extraction, but the seatbelt's stuck. Plan B: jump to the airbag. Marion tells the woman to grab her arms and wait for the signal. When Owen yells jump, Marion smashes the sunroof. The woman doesn't grab on but lands safely on the airbag, followed by Marion. The team pulls the airbag away just as the car crashes down, leaving everyone shaken but relieved. Grace gets a 911 call. "My boyfriend's trapped in a gun safe." Serves him right, he hid in there during the tornado and left me outside. The safe belongs to his parents, who know the code, but they're unreachable. Grace suggests trying 1234 or 0000, but the caller's already tried. She suggests birthdays, but those don't work either. Grace asks her to check the desk for clues. The caller finds signed Texas Longhorns footballs. Learning the signature is Vince's, Grace tells her to try 2005. The safe opens. The caller's stunned. Grace proudly explains, Vince led Texas to the national championship in 2005. She advises finding a better boyfriend. The caller thanks her profusely. The next day, Tim calls 911. The 126 team arrives to check on him, but he shoves them away, yelling, "Let me go, my kids are still inside." As a father, Owen understands. After assessing, he says the house is unstable, and he can't send anyone in without signs of life, but promises immediate action if they find the kids. Owen sets up tools and sensors. To calm Tim, he gives him a headset to call his kids' names. The first try gets no response, and Tim breaks down. On the second, he's overjoyed to hear his daughter's voice. Despite the risk of another collapse, Owen puts on TK's helmet and enters the crumbling house himself, calling for the kids. TK and Tim watch via the helmet's camera. Hearing Owen pant, TK wants to rush in, but Judd stops him. Owen reaches the bathroom and finds the kids safe in the tub. Tim sobs with relief. Owen guides them out, but the house collapses again. Everyone's on edge until Owen's voice comes through, confirming he's okay. Tim hugs his kids, and TK embraces Owen. Suddenly, Tim collapses. Michelle checks him and gasps. His abdomen is black and purple, organs severely damaged, pulse faint, pupils dilated. CPR fails. Tim's gone. If treated earlier, he might have survived, but he sacrificed himself for his kids. The team is heartbroken. Back at the station, Owen sees Mateo guilt-ridden and sits with him, cleaning his helmet and consoling him. "Sometimes we're powerless. Beating yourself up won't help." Grace invites Judd to church for Bible study, but since seeing his crew die in a fire, Judd's lost faith in God. Judd joins Grace at church, committing to Sunday Bible study and helping clean the church. The next day, Judd urges Owen to tell TK about his cancer, noting Tim waited for the right moment and ran out of time. Owen promises to talk but struggles to find words when he sees TK. TK finds anti-nausea meds in Owen's office, forcing Owen to admit he has cancer. He explains he didn't tell TK, not because he doubted TK's strength, but because he feared seeing TK lose his carefree spirit. TK touches Owen's chest, saying firmly, "I won't fall apart. I believe you'll beat this, and I'll be with you every step." They hug tightly. Meanwhile, Michelle tells her mom about new leads on her sister Alice's disappearance. Her mom thinks Michelle's too obsessed, urging her to leave it to the police. Torn, Michelle says goodbye and leaves. The next day, Michelle's mom calls her home, pointing to Alice's small wooden shed, untouched by the storm despite the wrecked garden. As if for a reason, While sorting Alice's things, they find a photo of her on a blue pickup truck. One night, Josie and her best friend go to a strip club to celebrate her friend's 30th birthday. A ripped male dancer with 8-pack abs has the women swooning, but when someone blocks her friend's view, she snaps and throws a punch, turning the club into chaos. When Station 126's rescue team arrives, the place is a mess. A woman's tiara gets stuck in Josie's friend's mouth. Owen, the team captain, carefully cuts the woman's hair to remove it. Josie's face is covered in glitter, and Paul, a firefighter, gently wipes it off. When Josie locks eyes with him, she's instantly smitten. As the team leaves, a starstruck dancer shakes Owen's hand. The next day, TK joins his dad, Owen, at the hospital for chemo. TK worries about Owen facing cancer and work alone. Owen reassures him he's fine and ready for duty. A chatty patient nearby warns that chemo could make their bodies explode at any moment. Owen brushes it off, insisting he's okay, but the patient says not to be shocked if he crashes one day. Annoyed, Owen puts on headphones and dozes off. After the hospital, Owen stops by a cosmetics store and helps a woman pick products. They swap numbers and start dating. But Owen realizes he's not as strong as before. Just like the patient warned, the woman, a therapist, tells him he doesn't need to prove his masculinity. She encourages him to embrace life and stay positive, and his energy will return. Owen visits a men's clinic, desperate to fix his health issues. The doctor prepares an injection for his groin, but Owen panics and backs out. Owen and the therapist go for sushi. One bite of tuna sparks a physical reaction, and they quickly pay and leave. Meanwhile, Josie drops by the fire station with smoked brisket to see Paul, slyly leaving her number. Mateo and TK notice Paul avoiding Josie. They push him to ask her out, but Paul's scared she'll reject him when she learns he's transgender. Mateo says to be honest, while TK suggests dating first and sharing when he feels safe. Paul agrees to try. Paul and Josie go bowling. She playfully guides him, and they have a blast. When Josie tries to kiss him, Paul pulls back, saying he has something to share. Later, Josie meets Paul and says she really likes him. He's mature and dreamy, but can't get past her biases about him being transgender. She apologizes, shakes his hand, and they hug goodbye. TK and Carlos take Paul to a bar to cheer him up. Paul finally flashes a smile. A group of macho men gather outside a women's and children's center, blaring megaphones and causing a scene. Carlos and his partner step in, demanding the ringleader's ID. Suddenly, Derek, one of the men, gets hit by a flying bottle and collapses, foaming at the mouth and seizing. Michelle's paramedic team arrives. Derek's up but his heart's racing, and he reeks of garlic. He refuses to be touched and mentions he has arthritis. Michelle instructs her team to move him gently to the ambulance. En route, Derek's blood pressure plummets, and he struggles to breathe. Michelle performs CPR and uses a defibrillator, but the garlic smell intensifies. She realizes there's a toxic gas leak and orders the driver to pull over. The ambulance swerves, flips, and smoke pours out. Station 126 rushes to the scene. Owen orders hazmat suits and evacuation. Sadly, Derek dies before they can save him, and Michelle is injured. At the hospital, Michelle blames herself for missing key signs. Some arthritis meds contain dimethyl caprol, which smells like garlic. Oxygen and defibrillation triggered a chemical reaction, turning sulfide into sulfate, releasing toxic gas in Derek's body. This reminds Michelle of her missing sister, deepening her guilt. She hands Carlos a photo of a green pickup truck, saying her sister hid something, but she ignored it. Carlos promises to investigate and tells her not to worry too much. Grace confides in a friend that she and her husband, Judd, have grown distant since a factory explosion. They haven't been intimate, and she feels Judd is stuck in trauma. Her friend urges her to fix it fast. Grace sets up a romantic dinner, wearing a sexy outfit for Judd, but Judd focuses on food, frustrating her. She calls him out for not noticing her or being intimate since their honeymoon days. Judd admits he's not ready due to the explosion's trauma but insists it's not about her. Hurt, Grace retreats to the bedroom. Andy, a rancher, wants to buy back elite bull semen he sold to a breeding facility for $10,000, but the owner demands $10,500. When begging fails, Andy sneaks in at night, lights a cardboard box to create a diversion, and tries to steal the semen. The fire spreads fast, engulfing the facility. Station 126 arrives as flames rage. Owen calls for medics and assigns tasks. A semen canister shoots out like a firecracker due to the heat. The blaze triggers Judd's trauma, but Owen helps him breathe through it. Grace, on the radio, warns that the person they're saving is the arsonist. Owen and Judd find Andy on the ground, put a mask on him, and stop him from grabbing a burning canister. Andy mutters that it's his prized bull's semen, the best breed. Judd laughs, but Owen's mood is heavy. Judd surprises Grace with a candle at dinner, telling her she's the love of his life and he needs her more than ever. He carries her to the bedroom. One evening, a woman named Taylor catches a ride home, only to find her old friend Tina driving. Tina invites Taylor to hang out, but Taylor declines, saying she doesn't drink and suggests another time. Feeling rejected, Tina snaps, "I get it, you're still the same, ditching me for your rich friends." Taylor explains she didn't mean it that way, she's just tired of her old life. Her phone's dying, and worried about missing work, she asks Tina to charge it. As Tina turns to grab it, their car gets stuck under a semi-truck. The truck driver, lost in music, doesn't notice the small car sparking behind him, dragging it along. Taylor calls 911. Station 126 races down Hollis Road to intercept the truck. They shatter the rear window to pull Taylor out, but Tina's in a tough spot. The car's front is wedged under the truck. Owen directs the team to cut the rear pillars, stabilize the car with supports, and use hydraulic rams and a saw to free Tina's seat. Taylor, racked with guilt, blames herself for her friend's predicament. Michelle notices Tina's blood pressure crashing, pulse faint, and severe blood loss. Despite her condition, Tina asks about Taylor. Hearing she's safe, Tina relaxes, knowing it'll take an hour to reach the hospital for a transfusion. Taylor begs Michelle to use her blood. In the heat of the moment, Michelle agrees. Tina's blood pressure stabilizes, and everyone breathes a sigh of relief. She's saved. Before boarding the ambulance, Taylor apologizes to Tina, who brushes it off, and they reconcile. After shift, Mateo stays at the fire station to study for the fire academy exam. Judd wants to play poker and invites the crew, but only Owen joins. Judd brings him home, surprising Grace, as former Captain Billy never came over for cards. Judd explains that when Station 126 faced a tragedy, Billy was on leave and escaped it. Billy wanted to lead the new team, but Owen beat him to it, making them rivals. The poker game kicks off, and Billy constantly jabs at Owen, mocking his focus on appearances as superficial. Billy challenges him to a bet. Owen, without looking at his cards, bets $600. Billy notices Owen's labored breathing and sweaty brow, assuming he's bluffing, and goes all in to scare him off. But Billy's flush is outdone by Owen's flush with a higher ace of spades. Owen quips that the sweat came from outsmarting a fool. Everyone braces for Billy's reaction, but he laughs, points at Owen, and says, "I couldn't read you, but I like your style." The night ends with everyone having a blast. The next day, Owen asks Marion to help Mateo study. Mateo has dyslexia, and under the Americans with Disabilities Act, he's allowed an oral exam. Still, he faces 300 pages of material, and this is his last shot to become a firefighter. Marion takes charge, handing out study guides to the team, assigning each a subject, and recording videos for Mateo to listen to instead of read. Mateo obsessively reviews the team's video lectures, with teammates quizzing him, even waking him at night. But the massive material overwhelms him, he forgets everything after sleeping. Marion's baffled. Mateo fails multiple choice but nails fill-in-the-blank questions. He confesses the pressure. He came to the US at 2, lacks legal papers, and failing means losing his job and possible deportation. Marion looks him in the eye. "Pressure clouds your thinking. Believe you can do it, and you will. I've got your back." Encouraged by Marion, Mateo takes the exam, but the proctor, his former captain, makes it tough, barring Marion from reading questions. Despite the obstacles, Mateo finishes confidently and scores a 92, the highest. His team waits outside, hugging and cheering him. Then, 911 gets a call about a stray dog attacking 2 kids. At the scene, 2 girls are perched on a car roof, with the bloody dog barking loudly. Owen observes its fur isn't raised and ears are down. It's scared, not aggressive. He signals the team to quietly rescue the kids. Owen approaches the dog, and the team saves the girls, but the dog bolts. Owen tells Mateo to watch the kids and leads the team after it. They find an elderly man pinned under a lawnmower, his legs crushed. Owen directs Marion to refuel the machine, Judd to take the driver's seat, and the medics to prep for rescue. On Owen's count of 3, Judd starts the mower, and the team lifts the man onto a stretcher. Michelle administers IV drugs, noting his cold, numb legs and excruciating pain. She diagnoses compartment syndrome and performs a fasciotomy to save his legs. The man asks Owen to call his son to adopt the dog if he doesn't make it. The surgery succeeds, and the dog joyfully licks its owner. The man says, "You saved my life, buddy." Owen praises the dog's smarts. Two men go to a lake to scatter their friend's ashes, who once caught a 20-pound fish there. One tosses the ashes, but the wind blows them back into his eyes, nose, and mouth, causing him to choke and collapse. His friend calls 911, panicking that his buddy's choked by ashes. Grace, confused, learns the victim inhaled cremains. She guides the friend to wet a shirt, wrap it around the car's tailpipe, start the engine until it smokes, and place it on the victim's chest. The man coughs up the ashes and breathes normally. Owen invites Billy to tour Station 126. Billy spots Owen's golf clubs and suggests a weekend game. Michelle warns Owen that Billy's competitive and to watch out, but Owen suspects she's biased as Billy's ex. Owen and Billy play golf, then grab dinner. Billy offers a cigar, and Owen opens up about his lung cancer. The next day, Owen gets a call from the deputy chief. At the station, the deputy and Billy are waiting. Billy told the deputy about Owen's cancer, suggesting he retire. Owen vows to take the academy's physical test to prove he can still lead. Before leaving, Owen confronts Billy, who says he doesn't care who leads but wants Station 126 back. Owen retorts, "Bring it on." To promote his used car dealership, the owner hosts an event featuring a bull rider and a live bull. Despite his staff's advice to keep the bull caged for safety, he insists on parading it around, leading to chaos. A father and son test drive a red car but crash into a display table. The bull, triggered by the moving red car, goes berserk, chasing it and causing customers to flee in panic. One person gets tossed by the bull, and the car's windshield is smashed before it flips over. The owner is also knocked down in the mayhem. The 126 emergency team gets a distress call and rushes to the scene. Michelle treats the owner's stomach wound from the bull's horn and tells Owen to track the bull's footprints. A firefighter cautiously searches with an axe and finds the bull with its head stuck in a car. Owen calls animal control to sedate it and, while waiting, uses a defibrillator as a precaution. He calmly reassures the bull, "I get it, everything feels out of control. Don't worry, we'll get you out." Under Owen's lead, the bull is safely freed. Judd teases Owen about his speech to the bull, though it might be Owen's most heartfelt moment. After shift, Owen trains in protective gear for a firefighter fitness test, which requires completion in 10 minutes 20 seconds. Despite giving his all, he takes 13 minutes 22 seconds and collapses, exhausted. Still, he persists, determined not to let the arrogant Billy take over as captain and to prove he can lead Station 126. His team worries about his health, especially Mateo, who fears Owen's cancer could worsen. Judd, caught between Owen and Billy, regrets introducing them but avoids meddling. Encouraged by Grace, Judd confronts Billy over the phone. That evening, Judd meets Billy at home, demanding to know why he told the deputy chief about Owen's cancer. "You said you liked Owen, so why did this?" Judd asks. Billy admits he respects Owen but thinks he's arrogant, acting like a superhero. Judd defends Owen, saying he's not conceited, just showy, and a good guy. He points out Owen's pushing himself for the fitness test because of Billy. Despite it being nearly impossible, Billy counters that the test was Owen's idea. The next day, Judd confronts Owen, asking why he didn't guard against Billy's power grab. Owen says, "I like Billy. With him, I don't have to play captain or parent. He's a friend." Frustrated, Judd calls Owen a show-off, warning that Billy will take everything and passing the fitness test is nearly impossible. Judd vows to pray for the team, knowing they'll struggle if Owen loses. Later, Owen meets Billy at a golf course, but it starts raining. Owen suggests playing cards inside, but Billy refuses. Owen offers, "I'll resign, but you have to keep my team at 126. Billy rejects it, declaring he'd replace everyone if he takes over. Suddenly, lightning strikes Billy, and he collapses. Owen carries him inside, calls 911, and performs CPR. The next day, after the deputy chief leaves the fire station, the team crowds Owen, asking if he still needs the fitness test. Owen calmly says, "I already passed. I carried a grown man from the 12th hole to the clubhouse in under 4 minutes. That proves I'm fit to lead." Billy, forced to focus on recovery, drops his bid for captain. The team cheers Owen, urging him to stay strong against cancer and promising to stand by him. Judd teases, "Guess God was on your side." Owen quips, "Maybe you'd prefer Billy as captain since he's your friend." Judd laughs, "Billy's a friend, but you're my captain." Owen chuckles, half amused, half touched. Later, Owen visits Billy in the hospital, making peace with a handshake and gifting him a book, How to Play Cards for Dummies. Billy's speechless with annoyance. A homeowner, interested in the single repairman Chad, finds him unconscious, foaming at the mouth, and seizing, thinking he's electrocuted by a nearby cord. She tries to free it with a wooden stick but fails. In a panic, she hits Chad until he releases the cord and calls 911. The 126 team and medics arrive, finding Chad's pulse normal with no signs of electrocution. Michelle notices Chad's hospital necklace, realizing he had an epileptic seizure, not a shock. The team chuckles at the woman's rescue attempt and her unique way of flirting. Michelle visits a low-income area to deliver insulin to Emily and her father, also giving them a phone for emergencies. As she leaves, she catches a thug vandalizing the ambulance to steal OxyContin. She chases him off with pepper spray. Carlos arrives, revealing he's tracked down a green pickup truck linked to Alice's disappearance and identified its owner. They head to the police station to meet the officer handling Alice's case. They share that the truck was reported stolen, suspecting the thief is tied to Alice's vanishing. The officer promises to investigate but seems dismissive, infuriating Michelle, who accuses her of neglecting the case. Carlos quickly escorts Michelle out. The next day, the policewoman calls Michelle to the station, saying gravely, "I'm not Alice's family, but I know a lot about her. She saw you as her hero, the coolest woman ever. I carry photos of missing people like they're my own family. I spoke to the pickup truck's owner. Alice was living with Wade, a car thief with a rap sheet for fighting, drug dealing, and robbery. He vanished the same day as Alice. Last time anyone saw him, he was arguing with a brunette in her early 20s at a bar." The officer takes Michelle to the bar. The owner recalls a fight 3 years ago. Alice went ballistic, attacking Wade. Police showed up 45 minutes later. Michelle, heartbroken, admits Alice called her 3 times that night, but she was too busy partying to answer. The officer comforts her, "Even if you'd picked up, it might not have changed anything." Still, Michelle's consumed by guilt, believing answering could have saved her sister. After a long investigation, the policewoman finds the green pickup truck wrecked near the bar by a cliff. Seeing the mangled vehicle, Michelle breaks down in tears, overwhelmed by thoughts of her sister. That evening, Ben hires a babysitter to watch their son so he and his wife can enjoy a rare date night. Worried, his wife checks the home camera and panics when she spots a rattlesnake under the rug in their son's room. They call 911, and the 126 team rushes over, breaking into the house. Mateo grabs the boy but jumps when he sees the snake. Marion quickly traps it with a plastic bin. Ben and his wife return, relieved their son is safe. Paul senses something's off and tells Owen to check the basement laundry room. Owen and Judd head down, sweating as they find a nest of rattlesnakes surrounding the babysitter, who's likely been bitten. Earlier, Ben's wife noticed a hole in the laundry room, covered only with a tarp, likely how the snakes got in. A firefighter sprays the snakes with a fire extinguisher, allowing the team to rescue the babysitter. The next day, Owen gets a checkup. His doctor scolds him for drinking during chemo but shares good news. His tumor has shrunk by 2.77%. The doctor explains that some pet owners with dogs battling cancer allowed experimental immunotherapy trials. Most dogs were reclaimed, but some were abandoned. Owen brings a brown dog named Buttercup to the fire station, and the team crowds around, excited. TK is thrilled. He's always wanted a dog but was never allowed. When he learns Buttercup has lung cancer and is in treatment, his mood darkens. That night, Buttercup wreaks havoc at the station, chewing cushions, knocking over lamps, stealing snacks, destroying TK's shoes, and leaving presents on the floor. TK grumbles about the shoe obsession. Owen chuckles, saying Buttercup likes him. TK's frustration peaks when he steps in one of Buttercup's messes. At the station, the team tries to win over Buttercup, but it only wants TK's bed. Frustrated, TK yells at it and storms off, but Buttercup follows. Owen says, "I know you love that dog, don't hide it." TK admits he's scared to care for something he'll lose. Owen replies, "I could die from cancer or on the job, but no one's guaranteed safety. Buttercup isn't about my death, it's proof of my life. Love it, even if it's only for a little while." Moved, TK pets Buttercup and becomes its owner. Michelle and the team respond to a call at a mansion. In the bedroom, they're horrified to find the homeowner's mother, dead for days, her face purple. Her son, unable to accept her death, pulls a sword, threatening the team to save her or no one leaves. Michelle realizes he's mentally unstable and pretends to perform CPR. When he's distracted, she shocks him with a defibrillator, disarming him. She calls for a mental health team. The man sobs, saying he promised to care for his mom. Michelle comforts him, "You kept your promise, and we did our best." Michelle and Carlos visit the police station, where the officer shows evidence from the pickup truck for Michelle to identify. Michelle is stunned to find Alice's bracelet, a gift from their dad when she was 14, never removed. Later, at the 911 call center, Michelle listens to Alice's recorded calls from the phone found in the pickup truck. Alice made frantic pleas, claiming someone was following her, trying to hurt her. The officer suggests Alice had mental health issues, which could explain her erratic behavior. Michelle recalls a fight 10 years ago when Alice baselessly accused her of being too shy to speak up, sparking a huge argument. At home, Michelle tells her mom about Alice's possible schizophrenia. Her mom can't believe it. Michelle, guilt-ridden, says she ignored Alice's issues. On the night Alice vanished, she missed multiple calls from her. "I could have saved her," Michelle sobs, as she and her mom hold each other, crying. That night, Bruce spots an intruder and calls 911. Grace answers, but Bruce, panicked, only says someone broke in and his wife is asleep, then hangs up. Grace alerts her supervisor, avoiding a callback to not provoke the intruder. She asks the phone company to trace the call. A colleague gets another 911 call about a break-in. Carlos and his partner arrive at Bruce's house, but his wife says there's no intruder. Bruce has dementia and went jogging that morning, never returning. Grace realizes Bruce entered the wrong house. She tells Carlos to ask Bruce's wife about 1940 Birchwood, their old home from 15 years ago. Grace's colleague confirms Bruce broke into Mary's house, who'd called 911. Mary and her husband, back home, heard noises and hid in their room. Bruce, wielding a dagger, tries to enter to save his wife, while Mary's husband aims a gun at the door, creating a tense standoff. Grace tells Mary that Bruce has dementia and thinks it's his house. She calls Bruce, explaining it's not his home and his wife is safe. Remorseful, Bruce drops the dagger, raises his hands, and walks outside, where his wife embraces him. Grace sighs in relief, but Mary's husband suddenly collapses. The 126 team arrives, and as TK breaks in, a child inside shoots him, and he collapses. After a night in the hospital, TK recovers. His team waits anxiously outside. Owen talks to him, hoping he'll wake, tearing up when Carlos visits. The team stays by TK, silently cheering him on. Owen kneels, praying. Michelle reassures Owen that TK will be fine. Then, she gets an urgent call from a volunteer group. Michelle arrives at the low-income area to treat a girl's father. After he wakes, she helps them onto the ambulance, then spots a woman resembling Alice by a tent. Could Alice still be alive? James and Molly host a gender reveal party for their baby, with 3 sons. They hope for a girl. Their youngest son presses the button, releasing pink smoke, signaling a girl, and they're thrilled, but the pink powder drifts into a grill, sparking a fire that burns a man's clothes. Guests scatter in panic. James pushes the man into a pool to douse the flames. Molly calls 911. The 126 team arrives, finding the man's burns minor and treatable. After basic care, they send him to the hospital. Suddenly, Molly goes into labor, too late to reach the hospital. With Owen absent, Judd takes charge, directing the team to grab sheets and towels. Mateo calls for an emergency medical team, while Marion, a certified midwife, delivers the baby. Despite it being her first time, the birth goes smoothly, and a boy is born. Molly's sons are excited for a new playmate, but Molly cries, having hoped for a girl. Owen stays by TK's side in the hospital. Zoe, TK's girlfriend, visits. The bullet missed his heart and spine, grazing an artery under his collarbone, causing hypovolemic shock. TK is recovering. When he wakes, he can't recall who shot him, learning it was a 7-year-old boy who mistook him for an intruder. TK worries about the kid's emotional state. Before shifts end, the team discusses TK. Marion thinks he'll need weeks to return. Judd mentions a Los Angeles firefighter who resumed work a month after a steel bar pierced his chest, though the team dismisses it as a tall tale. TK is discharged and returns to the fire station, greeted by Buttercup and the team. He pulls Owen into the office, admitting he's lost and unsure about continuing as a firefighter. Owen says, "You're my son. Whatever you choose, I'm behind you." TK asks Owen to visit the boy who shot him. The boy's been terrified since the accident. TK gently says, "Look, I'm okay now. I don't blame you. You were protecting your family. That's brave." The boy apologizes, promising it won't happen again. TK smiles and shakes his hand. Outside, Owen tells TK, "In 26 years, today's the proudest I've been. You'll be a great dad someday." TK replies, "So are you." Benny, seeing his son Harry too shy to apply for a dream internship, takes him to explore Devil's Horn Cave to boost his confidence. Harry reluctantly follows but wants to quit when the path narrows and slicks. Benny says the tight birth canal leads to a wider cave, like being reborn. While talking, Benny slips, falling headfirst into a crevice. Harry frantically tries pulling him out but fails. Benny tells him to get help. The 126 team arrives. Judd warns Owen he's attempted 3 rescues here, none successful. Due to a 90-degree turn only 60 centimeters wide, only Marion and Mateo can fit. They find Benny stuck. Marion ties a rope to his ankle, instructing Mateo to pull, but Benny's wedged deep. Marion drills to widen the spot, pours soapy water on Benny, and encourages him as he struggles to breathe, chest aching. When Benny yells about a rock blocking his chest, Marion radios Owen, who hands the radio to Harry. Harry says, "Dad, I know you're tired and want to give up, but you have to keep going. You said facing fear conquers all. When they push with everything you've got. I love you." Inspired, Benny lifts himself past the rock. The team pulls him out successfully. Harry thanks the 126, but Owen says, "You saved your dad. Without you, he wouldn't have held on." Harry confidently vows to apply for the internship. Judd's 81-year-old father calls, canceling dinner plans. Worried, Judd visits and finds the house dark, his dad lying on the floor after tripping on a rug. Too proud to call for help, he stayed there. If Judd hadn't come, he'd have lain there all night. The next evening, Judd invites his dad for dinner, suggesting he move closer for easier care. His stubborn father refuses, insisting he needs no help, and leaves before finishing. Grace gets a call from her father-in-law, who fell onto a glass table, a shard stabbing his thigh, causing heavy bleeding. Grace guides him to press clean cloth on the wound, but it fails. She instructs him to tie a cloth around his thigh and twist it with a lamp to stop the bleeding, which works. The medical team arrives. Before hanging up, he begs Grace not to tell Judd. Judd and Grace visit Judd's dad in the hospital. He assumes they'll push him to stop living alone, saying, "Your mom and I raised you kids there, so I'll die there." They relent but insist on bathroom grab bars and a smart alert device. The next day, Grace gets a 911 call. A kid stuck a toy car up his nose and hid on the roof to avoid the hospital. Paul climbs up, seeing the toy in the boy's left nostril. He's breathing fine but fears hospital since his mom went and never returned. Paul promises no hospital trip, and the boy agrees. Paul counts to 3, telling him to blow his nose, but the toy stays stuck. Paul uses tweezers, despite the boy's screams and demand for a no-pain promise. Owen signals Paul to agree. Paul removes the toy, but the boy cries, accusing Paul of lying. Paul's bewildered look makes the team laugh. Soon after, the boy's dad calls 911, now with a toy car stuck up his nose. Michelle, exhausted after a night in the slums, gets a call from her mom, but her phone dies before she can speak. A flock of crows flies overhead. One crashes into her car. As she steps out to check, the thug from before attacks her. 5 minutes earlier, Mateo notices Owen's favorite coffee maker is broken. Expecting Owen to lose it, the team's shocked when he stays calm. Owen admits TK is questioning whether to stay a firefighter. Suddenly, lights flicker, the fire truck's ladder rises on its own, and the unplugged coffee maker starts brewing. Bizarre, the news explains. A solar storm hit Texas and the Midwest an hour ago, causing aurora effects from a solar explosion releasing electromagnetic energy. As they watch, the TV glitches and switches channels. The 911 call center is swamped with distress calls. Grace gets one from an air medical team. Their navigation and equipment are down. The 126 team arrives, finding the medevac chopper tangled in power lines. Despite cutting power, the solar storm keeps the air charged. Owen orders an air cushion and contacts the pilot, who says a couple is on board. The husband critically ill, needing a liver transplant. Owen urges them to jump to the cushion. The pilot hands the phone to the wife and jumps. She says her husband will die if he jumps, refusing to leave him. Owen pleads, "Jump for your kids. I'll personally save your husband." She jumps. Owen keeps his promise, donning protective gear and climbing a high-voltage tower despite shock risks. He outfits the husband in gear, and with the team's help, lowers him safely via rope. As electricity surges, Judd yells for Owen to jump. Owen leaps just as the chopper ignites. The team rushes to help him up, shaken by the sight of the burning wreckage. Carlos meets TK, asking if he considers him a boyfriend. TK hesitates. "I don't know, I barely understand myself." Disappointed, Carlos pays and leaves. As he swipes his card, the machine sparks and smokes. A parked car rolls into the street, traffic lights go haywire, and 2 cars crash. Seeing the car crash, Carlos blocks traffic while TK rushes to check the wrecked car. Passengers are fine, but the female driver has broken legs, pinned under debris. A damaged hydrant sprays water into the car. TK tells her to hang on, running to grab tools. Spotting leaking gas, he orders Carlos to clear the crowd, then grabs a car bumper to use as a lever. The driver notices TK bleeding. He reassures her, old wound reopened, don't worry. TK pries the metal, but she's still stuck. Flames erupt. TK douses them with an extinguisher. Water engulfs the driver. She touches TK's face, saying, "You did your best, go." TK persists, attempting CPR. Owen pulls him out, puts a helmet on him, and gets him to safety. The team rescues the driver. TK grabs her hand, relieved when she squeezes back. Carlos praises TK's bravery. Owen beams, "That's my son." Back at the station, TK opens up, "I'm an addict. Months ago, I relapsed, overdosed. Dad saved me. I came here because of him, not my choice, not even being a firefighter. Today, I risked my life to save someone, but I failed. When you all showed up, I knew she'd be saved, and so would I. This is what I want to do forever. This is my home." The team, moved, hugs TK. Owen says he doesn't need to decide now. TK replies, "I've never chosen anything my whole life." Owen, overjoyed, embraces him. The solar storm disrupts 911 systems. Grace gets a call from astronaut Thomas, near the equator. Storm pushed him and his crew into a solar flare zone, and their call to mission control rerouted to 911, showing acute radiation symptoms. Thomas asks Grace to connect him to his family. He gives his wife safe codes and bank details, then tells his daughter, "Promise to listen to Mom, I love you, wave at the sky, and I'll see you anytime." Grace tears up at their farewell. Michelle wakes in a purple tent, stunned to see Alice. Overjoyed, she hugs her. After persuading Alice, they go to the hospital, where their mom joins, reuniting the family. But when their mom wants to take Alice home, Alice snaps, accusing Michelle of betrayal, and storms out. Their mom wants to call security, but Michelle stops her. "We can't force her, I know where she'll go." Their mom agrees, drapes a coat over Alice, and slips money into her pocket, a mother's love undeniable. Michelle shares Alice's story with Owen. He advises, "We can't force anyone, even for their good. Keep your door open, a light on, and wait for her to come back." Michelle smiles, relieved. That night, as the team prepares to leave, an aurora lights up the sky, leaving them in awe. Grace tells Judd about the astronauts' goodbye. TK takes Carlos's hand for the first time. Michelle brings supplies to Alice, who asks to picnic under the aurora. Owen walks Buttercup under the glowing sky, a serene moment. Season 1 of 911, Lone Star ends here. Excited for more? Like and comment below to let us know. Thanks for following. See you next time.
We gotta go. You gotta jump now! A 2 for style and a 10 for time.